What's going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio, here for some NBA draft chat. So the NBA draft obviously happened this week. This class has been, by many people, thought of as not the strongest, not the best. And I just was kind of wanted to see where everyone went, where everything kind of shook out, and try to get a feel for, some potential guys that you want to be thinking about now when it comes to sports cards. An advantage for us is we get to see these guys for at least a few weeks before the first NBA releases come out. And the first release that comes out that really matters is Prism. There'll be Don Russ and hoops and all that, and that's not till March. So by then we're going to know, or at least we're going to have a decent idea of which of these guys to chase. That being said, let me just get this out of the way. I know I talked about this before in previous videos. Guys, don't go crazy on these draft cards. Prism draft, Contenders draft, the fancy looking cracked ice autos and stuff. I see the prices people are paying for this stuff, and it's going to be in the basement by the time the real product comes out. Just remember that. Quick flip this stuff. Do not hold any of this. Unless you're PCing, obviously. But for a making money perspective, put your money somewhere else. There's way better things you could be buying right now in late November than LaMelo Ball draft, Prism draft cards, which are going to go down. They are going to go down. 100%, they're going to go down. So don't get caught in that trap. So just looking over this list, there is not, in my opinion, a lot to be excited about. And I think, and I'll be curious to see how this plays out on the wax flipping market this year. Now, I think initially everything's going to start hot because that's just the way. And if this class goes the way most people think it's going to go, I'm just very curious to see how that impacts prices of sealed product. Anthony Edwards probably isn't going to come out of the gates balling because he's going to be coming off the bench. He's not going to be starting for Minnesota, most likely. I don't see it. They traded for Rubio. They have D'Angelo Russell. He's probably going to be their sixth man. James Wiseman, he's, a rim running big man that isn't exactly going to get a ton of shots on Golden State, even with Klay Thompson gone. Steph Curry, Wiggins, and Draymond are going to eat, and Wiseman's just going to clean up around the boards. That's not flashy. The two biggest knocks on LaMelo are that he can't shoot and he can't play defense. He passes. That's his best attribute is that he passes. And going to the Hornets isn't exactly like the pipeline of major NBA draft development talent either. So, that's not exactly the best for him. I don't think he's going to come out and put out, 20, 25 points per night like Ja and Zion did. Patrick Williams to me is an intriguing long-term hold. He would be a guy that I would get and probably want to stash to the side. And we're not going to go through every player here, but remember, the last two draft classes were absolutely outstanding. You got Luka and Trey in 18-19, along with a host of other players, Michael Porter Jr., SGA, and a bunch of other guys. Last year, Zion, Ja, Tyler Hero, and a bunch of other guys that are extremely promising. Now, all this could change once these guys hit the court, and not that these people get stuff wrong. No major person that covers the draft is saying, oh man, this is the year you want all the lottery picks. And I get it. Those guys are wrong a ton. But in general, when the entire NBA community is like, this class isn't that great, and then you start to look at these guys, there's some intriguing guys in here. I'm slightly intrigued by Killian Hayes on the Pistons. Obi Toppin is probably going to be your NBA Rookie of the Year. If I had to guess right now, if I was betting, if I had access to sports betting in Ohio, depending on what the odds were, I would strongly look at Obi Toppin for NBA Rookie of the Year. He's going to get a ton of playing time, and he is probably the most NBA ready out of this entire group to come out and have an impact immediately. I don't think he's a good long-term prospect, but he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. He's going to be the guy that when you open Prism, once again, this is assuming that everything stays kind of how we think it's going to be. He's the guy that you're going to want to send in for grading to get back to sell at the end of the season, in my opinion. A couple of guys I'm intrigued with. Avia, but everybody is. Or Denny Adja, however you say it. The Israeli dude that went to the Wizards. Him, Patrick Williams, Killian Hayes. Everybody loves Tyrese Halliburton, but they just signed De'Aaron Fox to a max contract. People are saying that they could play together. We'll see. And I don't know that he's necessarily a sports card superstar. His biggest attribute is not scoring. He's like a good move the ball, good point guard, good solid point guard, but not like a 25-point-a-night scorer. And those guys that put up big numbers is what moves the sports card market. And I don't know that I see a lot of those guys in here. Anthony Edwards could be, but he's not going to get the chance to show it right away. I don't think anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, Denny, Killian Hayes, Patrick Williams, those are all guys that could be really good, but it could be a hot minute before we really see it. So those are going to be guys I'm going to be looking more to long-term hold. I feel like this draft class is much more going to be about finding those guys that slip through the cracks. Denny is buzzy, so I don't know that he's going to be one of those guys, but maybe a Patrick Williams is. Maybe a guy like a guy that intrigues me. This guy reminds me a lot of Kevin Porter Jr. last year, who I really like, is RJ Hampton. RJ Hampton was really buzzy and then just did not do the greatest things. The Nuggets just have a very good track record of drafting these guys and developing them into quality NBA players. You know, they had Malik Beasley, they had Juancho Hernan-Gomez. These aren't flashy names. These guys turn into solid NBA players. And maybe RJ Hampton is Michael Porter Jr. 2.0. I don't think so, but he's a name and he has some talent, and you'll be able to get him most likely pretty cheap. A lot of these guys are just role players. And role players, just because they're rookies, doesn't mean that they're going to have great card values. You know, as we move through the second round, the guy that actually intrigues me the most, and maybe I'm just drinking the Bill Simmons Kool-Aid on this one is, and I've never even seen this dude play, but just from what people are saying, is Tyrell Terry on the Mavericks, and he's probably going to get some run, and they're a team that's going to be on TV a lot and in the playoffs. So if he plays well, his stuff could, you know, go up. But once again, you're going to probably be able to get him pretty cheap. You know, when you start getting in the second round, guys, the second round is, in most cases in the NBA, you know, are D-League players and end of the roster guys. There's just not a lot of juice on second round players. So, long story short, just be careful out there. And once again, we're going to kind of get to see how all this shakes out. But if you're making your list of guys to keep an eye on, you know, good luck. I'm just not that high on this class. And the biggest thing I am curious about is how this affects sealed prices. You know, I think there's still going to be a flip game, if you will, but is it going to be as crazy as Zion and Ja where the stuff's going for 4X? You know, or a Prism Blaster is going to be selling for $100 a pop when they're $20 retail? I don't think so. Maybe initially, right out of the gates, but I think once things kind of shake itself out, that might not be the instance, which is good if you just want to buy product to rip. That's good. And once again, there's someone in this class is going to be an NBA All-Star, most likely. Probably multiple players. I don't know that it's going to be the guys in the top 5. It very well could be. Maybe LaMelo Ball is the second coming. I personally don't think so. If I open LaMelo Ball, I would probably sell immediately. That's just right now in late November. Once we see these guys play, maybe everything changes. So a lot of this is, pie in the sky stuff. Because we are going to get some data on these guys before these major releases do roll out. So we'll see what happens. Don Russ and Hoops are going to be the first ones out of the gate. They're a paper product. They're not very much in demand to begin with. So that being said, and we'll talk about this when we get closer to that, don't go overpaying for those cards right off the get. In fact, if you rip that product, you're probably better off to sell like the day that you rip it. Don't mess around with grading. Sell it immediately. And we'll revisit this one right before those products come out. So, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to get on a little chitty chat about the NBA draft and its potential impact on the sports card market. I usually like to use data to drive these conversations, but obviously we don't have a lot of data in these regards. So, key takeaways: be really careful with this draft product. Stay away from it. Don't touch Prism. Don't touch Contenders. Don't buy singles unless it's for PC. Don't think that those are good long-term holds and send them off to get don't send Prism Draft off to get graded in most cases. Please just sell it raw. Sell it raw right now. Odds are by the time you get it back from PSA in 4 to 6 months, it'll be worth the same as what it was if you just sold it now. Maybe a little bit, but it's not worth tying the money up for that long. Sell it now and buy other stuff. The NBA market is absolutely out of the doldrums and is on the fast track up. We'll talk about that in tomorrow's weekly update. But so that's all I got for you guys. Let me know who you guys are intrigued with out of this NBA draft. But that's all I got for you guys today. So, YouTube nonsense down below, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.